Motorcycles are one of the last pure hobbies. All across social media, you see grown men losing their minds over sports and Pokemon cards. It's all about getting the big hits and turning a profit. The same thing's happening in the world of watches and sneakers. People just waiting for the next big drop and a chance to make some quick cash. Now, don't get me wrong, I like a beautiful machine as much as the next person, but riding isn't about the object or financial gain, it's about the experience. So let's go for a ride, talk about what's happening in these hobbies and how it affects your brain and overall health.
All right, guys, so today for you, we have a little bit of a sunset ride. I haven't done that before, and hopefully you enjoy the scenery. It's really a lovely evening. It's clear, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm excited to talk about this issue with what's been going on in the hobbies. So, just so we're on the same page, a hobby is anything that you do in your free time that brings you pleasure. So for me, one of my first hobbies was wristwatch collecting, and over time I noticed that this hobby became infiltrated with people looking to make a quick buck. So I started looking more online, started looking on Facebook, and it seems like this is happening with a lot of hobbies. And the few that I mentioned in the beginning were Pokemon cards, sports cards, sneakers, and obviously watches, where people just want to flip the stuff, buy it at a deal, make some money. I mean, and that's cool, because I used to do a little bit of that on the side every now and then, but to me, those types of hobbies that are more for financial gain aren't exactly as meaningful as hobbies where you're getting something from them, like motorcycle riding. So, to start, those hobbies with the sports cards, I think a lot of it began during the COVID time, where people had a little more time to research things online, they had more time to put into their hobbies, and people also had a little bit more of expendable income during that time, because they weren't going on vacation, they weren't going out to eat, so they had that opportunity to buy more stuff. So as you buy more stuff, the supply goes down, the demand goes up, and the prices of these items has gone up significantly over the years. Like some of these trading cards that I had binders full as a kid are going for thousands of dollars in graded condition. And to make things worse, these grading companies are really pushing their product, like the PSA company. Their turnaround times are months. They charge you hundreds per card, and it also depends on the value. So if you send them a very valuable card, they charge you even more. So that's been kind of driving everything up, because people don't want to pay, $500 to get a card PSA certified and then, lose money on that. So the prices have been just climbing throughout all of these hobbies. And what's going on in your brain with these hobbies is different than what happens, say, when you're motorcycle riding. Sure, there's a huge dopamine spike. Imagine, pulling a card from a pack that's a one-of-one autographed by someone, super valuable, and you've hit the jackpot. So you go, you list it, you make a bunch of money, you feel good. But what about the opposite of that? Say you buy a very expensive pack, a few $100s, and you rip it open and there's nothing of value there. You get down. So those types of spikes and crashes are very similar to what we see with gambling and the brain chemistry. And that can end up being really harmful and maladaptive, because you end up trying to buy more to break even, and as that propagates, you end up getting these, huge dopamine needs, dopamine spikes, crashes, and overall you kind of feel, crappy. So a hobby should bring you pleasure. So if that's what's going on, that's no longer a hobby, that's a business. And there's nothing wrong with running a business. A lot of people have side hustles now because salaries really haven't kept up with inflation, so everyone's looking at a new way to make some money. And I feel like that's also maybe one of the reasons why these collectibles have gone up so much, because people are just trying to supplement their incomes when they can't afford things. So they look towards other avenues, and trading cards is pretty easy. You can buy them at stores, you can buy them online, you can ship them out, sell them on eBay, whatever. But with that also brings anxiety, which is what hobbies should be trying to replace. So you might be anxious if your grade doesn't come back as good as you want it to. You might be anxious if you can't sell something. You're sitting on a bunch of stuff that's really taking up money that you could be using for other things, like putting food on the table or rent or whatever. So I don't think there's any place for anxiety in hobbies. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't all of Pokemon, all of card collectors, all of watch collectors, but I've noticed the trend where it's significantly increasing as people are getting some FOMO, trying to get into these things, trying to make money. So it pushes a lot of the true collectors out, like me. So, with the watches, I used to like Rolex watches, Audemars, and they're basically impossible to get now from the dealer at a fair price because it's just such a demand. And, let's just take a little bit of pause. It's a nice road here. Let's see what this bike can do. All right. Enough of that nonsense. So back to the hobbies, and that, we'll talk about the thrill of motorcycles. That's kind of part of it. So with the card collecting and watch collecting, it's just pushing a lot of other hobbyists out of the game. And again, it's not everyone who's doing this type of stuff, but it's making the hobby less appealing for me and a lot of other people that I've seen. And if you've had this experience as well, I'd like to hear about it. Oh, there's that sunset I was telling you about. We get some nice views here out in the cornfields. So let's talk about motorcycle riding, why it's one of the last pure hobbies. And I'll tell you what I mean by pure. This is not a hobby that's driven by financial gain. I mean, I go into it knowing that I am going to lose money on these on these bikes, right? They depreciate, they have repairs, I buy accessories, if you sell them, the accessories aren't worth anything. So I know that I'm going to be losing money, but it doesn't matter because I just enjoy riding so much. The breeze, the smells, the sights, the sunset, everything about it makes me feel good. And obviously, this is a very nice bike. I love this bike. I'm going to get more bikes, but it's not the primary driving factor. I buy the bikes to experience different aspects, like the acceleration here, the speed here. I have my Tiger for off-road stuff. It's just different capabilities. So there are some people, I guess, that do try to flip and sell collector bikes, but I personally don't know anyone who does that. And I don't think it's a very big part of the hobby as much as it is in some of these other money-based hobbies. Because at the end of the day, it's much tougher to sell motorcycles. I don't know if you've ever tried, but you get a lot of shady people on Facebook, Craigslist, and it's a tough sell. So let's go towards the sun here. Hang a left. So, with motorcycling, it's a different purpose, and it's not the only hobby. So I know, like, I posted this on Instagram, and a lot of people are like, well, it's not the only pure hobby. And I'm not saying it's the only one. I'm saying it's one of the last, really, that's not been infiltrated. Like, golfing, a lot of people enjoy, and I've golfed before, but a lot of it has become about, like, which next club are you going to buy, which gear, which balls. Certainly it's about spending time outdoors, enjoying yourself, but, more commercialized as well. Then, it's some people like sports. Those are, again, more pure, similar to what I'm talking about, motorcycle riding. And the common factor between them is this is all experience-based. You're getting something out of this on a personal, emotional level that you don't get from money-based hobbies. And the difference is in the brain chemistry. We talked about the dopamine spikes and crashes when you're dealing with selling stuff, flipping stuff. With motorcycles, yeah, you're getting that dopamine release because it's thrilling. You're getting some adrenaline if you do like a fast pull there for a few seconds. But you're also getting longer-term stuff. You're getting serotonin. You're getting endorphins. That's why you come back feeling good after a ride. If you're riding with other people and communicating with them, connecting, bonding, talking, you're also getting oxytocin, which is one of the hormones that help people bond. So you're getting a lot of different neurotransmitter release, which is why it's such a feel-good thing. And a lot of people liken it to therapy. So you can kind of get the idea. It's a very different effect on your brain. And the anxiety factor that you may get in some of these money-based hobbies is not really present in motorcycle riding. Now, if you're an anxious rider, there's some stuff you can practice. You can improve your skills. You can reduce the anxiety associated with riding. But there's a difference between being careful and being anxious. So, you can be careful but not have the feelings of stress that you have otherwise. And a lot of people use this just for just to wind down at the end of the day, go for a ride. If you work in the medical field like I do, I used to work in the offices and hospitals more often than I do now, but I would ride my bike to and from work, and if I had a difficult shift or something, this would just help me decompress on the way home and get some of that throttle therapy everyone's talking about. So, all right, we're going to hang a left here, not get T-boned. All right, there we go. So, it's an anxiety-free hobby, and that's how hobbies should be. So I want to hear about kind of what motorcycling has given you. Are you happy you started it? Do you feel these things I'm talking about? And then if you're coming from some of the other hobbies that the algorithm found you and you're into Pokemon cards or sports cards, am I over-exaggerating this, or has it really become more commercialized to the point where it's getting to be unpleasant? So I want to have a discussion in the comments. I'm going to be answering as many comments as I can. So leave me a message, and let's talk about what's going on with these hobbies and how motorcycling is one of the last pure ones. Catch you next time. Peace.